Welcome to round two of Karting1's SuperKart Championship. Let's hope that I don't crash in this one. Welcome to the show. Welcome to round two of the Karting1 SuperKart Championship from Donington Park with Alpha Live. Thank you for everybody tuning in. We appreciate every viewer. So, make sure you comment and all that kind of stuff when you're watching the race. It's going to be a good one today, I think. Round one, Sam and Daniel sort of dominated the show, but I think everybody's been working hard to catch up with them. It's going to be super tight. All the times are quite close in the sort of the practice sessions at the moment. So, hopefully there's going to be 3 or 4 of us at the front fighting for the win. You know, we've got Moore's coming in. His pace is starting to come through. Glenn Guest's coming in with his Pulse Simulation boys. So they're going to be sort of there and thereabouts. That's quite exciting. Jack Bird still got his simulator somehow. So that's good news. We've got Liam Morley and Tom Rusforth, the Division 1 drivers, in real life. I think Donington's going to suit them a bit more. So, yeah, it's looking like it's going to be a cracking little race. A couple of the drivers, I know that Jack's got a Twitch stream, so you can load that up as well and have a quick look at that and watch it from a driver's perspective. I think that's kind of cool. So yeah, without further ado, we're going to head over to the commentary team now. We've got Will Dendy, El Bandito, the man himself, with Chris McCarthy, BT Sports, Chris McCarthy now, which is kind of cool. So yeah, head over to the commentary team and enjoy the race.
Thank you to Alan. Welcome everyone. Karting1 SuperKart Championship. Chris McCarthy and Will Dendy here for you. It's fantastic to be here. Few facts before we get going to bring you guys up to speed for those of you not with us for round number 1. This is round number 2 of 5. We're going to be at Donington Park GP circuit. 2 races you're going to be seeing this evening. Race number 1, the grid will be decided by qualifying, and the second will be a reverse grid. Everyone loves a reverse grid race. It will be a reverse grid of the race 1 result. Unless you DNF, you will have to go to the back of the grid if you DNF race number 1. We're preparing for what is going to be a very big race next time, which is going to be from Silverstone GP, where we will relive the SuperKart British Kart Grand Prix. Pictures coming to you from Alpha Live. My name's Chris McCarthy. Will Dendy, great to be alongside you for this one. How have you been keeping?
Yeah, I'm really excited to have you along, Chris. I'm glad we've got a top quality grid of drivers, top quality commentators. I think this is going to be a fantastic event and a lot different from Zandvoort, actually. I think the grid might be a bit closer. Maybe some of the drivers have learned a little more how to manage the tyres. And of course, there's a few more names in here that I think have a brilliant chance of competing right at the front. So I think you're in for a really exciting one, Chris, and all the viewers at home, welcome.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. We're on rFactor 2 for this, or for those of you who are wondering what we are racing on, we are in the supercarts as well. Will, are these something that you have to get in and have a go in?
I think so. I think they're completely different from anything else. Cars that are doing this sort of lap times, what, Formula 3s, something like this. I always hear from Formula 1 drivers, they seem quite sedate, even though they are incredibly fast. And yet, karts, there's no bodywork. You're sitting an inch from the floor. Even on the simulators, Alan says they're incredibly physical. So I think they're definitely something you have to have a try. And I've not driven one personally in real life. And I think I'm a bit too old to do that now. At the grand old age of 32, I will stick to cars. Yeah, how about you, Chris? Have you ever driven one of these?
Absolutely not. I mean, they're saying, I think everyone, they look cool, don't they, when you see them going around big circuits and that. I mean, I used to race a lot at Shannington, see them go racing around there. It wasn't something I was keen to definitely go and jump in, though. I have had to go in the KZ around short circuits, around Wilton Mill, actually, a bit of a strange one to have a go in. But you're, of course, here for the first round with DJ. Shame he can't make it this evening. I'm sure he'll be back next time. But what did you take away from the first round?
I think it was very much like a game of chess, where I think Sam Fowler played an excellent game the whole way through, where he sat behind Fletcher, looked after his tyres, and then sprung a little surprise on him on the last lap. So I think my takeaway was that, you know, if you're in front, it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll stay there. I think that it's going to be another close race, and and also as Alan mentioned earlier, I'm still surprised that Jack Bird has a simulator. He apparently, I don't know if you're aware of this, Chris, but if he didn't finish in the top 3, his girlfriend said she was going to sell it. I think he came 5th or 6th, so I was hoping to pick up his simulator, but no chance of that. So it's great to have him on the grid. He was definitely one to watch in that last one. And yeah, it's great to have you all on, Chris.
I was just going to say, does that mean he doesn't have a girlfriend then? Did he dump her straight after the race?
I think you're right. Yeah, maybe. I'd like to know. Can someone put in the comments whether I can't remember her name, Poppy, I think maybe. If she's still watching, you know, are you still together? Is that, as Chris says, is that why he still has his sim? I know personally that I'd happily dump my girlfriend. I'd sell my grandmother for sim racing. So yeah, is that what's happened? Who knows? We can only speculate. Please say in the comments.
This is going to turn into a bit of a different show if that's what the info we're going to be chasing after. But there we go. Fantastic first race there. A great track to start. What about this one? Donington Park on the GP circuit as well. Will, it's going to be good.
Oh, brilliant! We were watching the practice, and you know, we'd flick to different people, and yeah, people would just fly off the road, sliding it in dramatic ways. Getting into a bit of a bounce, you know, coming together. I think this is going to be a great one to watch. In a car, this is an exciting track. So in one of these, I think it's going to be brilliant. Seeing them go around Craner curves, that's a particularly exciting place. Of course, this was the site of Ayrton Senna's famous drive through the field in '93. And I think what with the reverse grids, we'll probably get similar spectacular driving from those at the front. Last time, I think Alan Dove and Fletcher and Sam took 8 places in the first lap, which is pretty incredible. And what being a tighter track, I think overtaking could be a bit more difficult, but then we're going to see some real special lunges.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. So, just to, if you are wondering why you haven't seen any karts on track yet, they are coming very, very shortly. The first race is due to kick off in just under 5 minutes' time. So, don't worry, it's going to be coming up very shortly. But if you do fancy yourself a little bit of a sim racer, here's something for you. The Pulse Sim Racing team, Pulse Sim Sport, are looking for drivers. So, if you have a Assetto Corsa, iRacing, or rFactor 2, and you've been getting up to speed whilst you have been in isolation, then do check out Pulse Sim Sport on Facebook, Instagram, on Twitter. Get in touch with them on either of those platforms, and well, you may just be racing with their liveries on your car next time out in some great championships. And this, a great one as well, the Karting1 SuperKart Championship. Really great to be along to call the action for this round Donington Park as well. Will, on the first round, a new championship. Anytime there is a new championship, racing can be interesting, I think is the best way to describe it there, with everyone getting themselves up to speed, getting used to the karts and each other. Do you think this time the racing is going to be a bit more calm?
I think so, Chris. I think, yeah, Zandvoort is a very bumpy track, and people didn't necessarily know the karts as well as they do now. They don't necessarily know the other drivers as well as they do now. So the viewers at home won't know this, but every year Alpha Live put on a Christmas event where commentators and cameraman and everyone race. And Chris and I actually battled quite hard for that. And
yes,
Chris, unfortunately, I'll admit this before you say anything, but Chris, he beat me. It was very close. But then the year after, you know, I knew Chris better. We had a very exciting race. And I think it would just be the same here, where all the drivers know each other a bit better. The tracks, I think people would have realised what an exciting and competitive championship this is, and from what I've heard, there's been a lot more practice behind the scenes. And what's your experience, Chris, as the races go through the year? Does it settle down, or does it get more competitive, or what have you noticed?
Well, you tend to, find out who, the front runners are, particularly when you get to the second round. Was it a driver that just was very quick around that one circuit? Sam Fowler's a very quick driver, always has been, both on sim, but particularly on circuit as well in karting, very successful. So you get those drivers you start to get an eye in for who are going to be fighting for the championship, but then you get those who may have come in with less experience, and as the year goes on, they start to get into a position where they're going to start fighting for podiums or even race wins. So we might see some drivers who have put in a lot more practice for this and are going to jump up, or they're just better suited to the Donington Park circuit. Well, let's take a look at the grid for race number 1. Just a reminder, race 2 will be a reverse grid. So qualifying has happened, and this is the grid for race number 1. Let's run through it and see who's going to be starting where, shall we? So driver name number 1 on pole. Oh, they're gone. I recognised a few of those names, Will, in all honesty. So, but while we are waiting for the grid, Will, I was going to ask you who do you reckon's on pole, but I think we're about to find out. Daniel Fletcher is going to be on pole position. Alan Dove, let's hope he makes it to turn 1 in one piece this time. He's going to be starting alongside. Sam Fowler, our championship leader, will be on row number 2 with Daniel Amore. Jonathan Bell will be starting on row number 3 with Steve Calvert. Chris Kemp will be on row number 4 with Glenn Guest. And then the rest of the grid, of course, Glenn Guest jumping in for this round. It's be good to see how he gets on. Oysen Sharkey and Max Tad 4th in the championship. They round out the top 10. Dean Hell, ex-teammate of mine. We used to be teammates back in the day, so great to see him out there. He's alongside Liam Morley, who is 7th in the championship. Dean down in 14th. Simon Crane and Jack Dex are going to be on row number 7. Jack Dex 9th in the championship coming into this. Then we have Miles Dixon and Tony Moore rounding out the top 16, and then the rest of the grid 20 with us. In fact, I think it will be the 18. We then have Jack Bird and Rodney Rayborn. Any surprises in there for you, Will?
I was going to say, Chris, I think there's a few surprises. I'm surprised that Glenn Guest is so far down. Excellent driver. I really thought he'd be in the top 5, definitely in the top 5, and maybe even in the top 3. The top 4 don't surprise me, but I'm surprised to see Jack Dex so far down. So here we go. We're on the warm-up lap. I'll pass over to you, Chris.
Yeah, it's I think it's going to be a longer warm-up lap. Of course, they're probably only about halfway round at the moment. So fast track, this one, Will, isn't it? Donington Park. It's going to be potentially hard to get away round here.
I think so. One thing we saw in the last race was that the slipstream effect was very strong, and like you say, this is a really fast track, and I think possibly even more grip reliant than downforce reliant. Possibly, I'm not sure how much downforce these karts have, but around the trainers, I think you could still slipstream. So yeah, I think we won't see anyone breaking away like we did last time, or we will see people breaking away, but I think it will be that top group of 3 or 4 that are only covered by 2/10, something like that. Very close between Alan and Daniel Fletcher on pole. But we do have a standing start this time, so I think there might be slightly less carnage, especially since Alan won't be loading into the back of everyone. And sorry, Alan, but that's what you did, and that's why you ended up in the wall.
Well, when you make a point of telling everyone not to do that, it's even more impressive when you're the one that goes and does it yourself. So there we go. Yeah, of course, the guys are going to come back round now and get to that standing start, and then after that, we'll be away for the 3rd race of the season. We do have at the first round, Sam Fowler won both races. Daniel Fletcher was 2nd in both races as well, and the 3rd places were shared by Daniel Amore and Alan Dove. So we wait to see them come around the final corner, and then they will form up, and we will get ready to go racing. So it might be a rolling start, in fact, here as they roll up to the line for the first time. And in fact, we are away and racing, so Fletcher's going to lead us down towards turn number 1. I don't think Dove has had a particularly good start, or is it the other way around potentially as they go in towards... Yes, Will?
It looked like he skipped the start to me. It looked like he was ahead going across the line. I really thought that we were having a standing start here, but yeah, Alan's broken away. Max Tad is already up in
flying off the track.
Max Tad's come from what was he? 8th, 9th, up to 2nd. So that's another incredible storm through the field like he did in the last race. I have to ask you, Chris, who's your money on?
Well, that's it. It's always easier to answer that question now. So why don't I just go with Alan Dove? He's leading. But I'm sure he'll be keen to make up for the drop points he had in the first race. There's contact there. One driver going off, unfortunately, and losing a couple of places. I think that was Glenn Guest that might have been who dropped down a couple of positions. We're looking at Sam Fowler versus Dean Hell. That's Dean Hell, I believe, on screen as they come through the chicane. Oh, and contact there. Is that Kemp that's gone round? Foul. Oh, dear. The number 67 going to a spin there and dropping down the field now. Will.
Was that... Who was number 67? I thought we were watching Fowler. Fowler's had a bit of a disastrous start, but that carnage has managed to get him back up to 4th. I think from there he's got a real good chance of coming through the field again. But yeah, Alan Dove's broken away, a 2nd in the lead now. He's broken the slipstream, and if he can keep his head together and keep it consistent, then he's in with a good shout. But this is really exciting between... Oh, they're both off. Oh, Max Tad. Can he keep...
Oh, dear. Yep, Max Tad spinning on the exit of turn 1. That's I've got to say that's impressive, and he's almost like he was dancing for us there. Yeah, he's stuck, isn't he, in the gravel? But trying to get out, that's quite inventive. Just keep turning the wheel. But he'll get there eventually. The other drivers, I think, will wave to him next time they go past him. But let's go back and have a look at Sam Fowler. I thought I saw another car buried in the gravel behind that as well. So unfortunately, we have lost a few already from this race. But we look at Sam Fowler at the moment, who's behind Daniel Fletcher. Alan Dove really has cleared off, hasn't he? This is the fight for second after that instant we had for Max Tad, who's now all the way down in 13th. It's 3.5 seconds for Dove. Then it's Fletcher, Fowler, Guest, Hale, Dex, Moore, Bird, Rayborn, and Gary Clark rounding out the top 10.
I'm just looking for Stephen Calvert here because he was always one to watch. I can't see him on my screen. Has he DNF'd? Yeah,
he is.
So I think there must have been an issue for Stephen Calvert as well. It's all. God, we've had more action in this first 3 minutes than I think we had in entire of the first race last time. This is just don't know where to look.
Well, let's look at Rodney Rayborn because he's trying to get himself into the top 10. Good to see Liam Morley out there as well, gearbox racer. Liam Morley just ahead in 10th place. Oh dear, 9th place. Is that Gary Clark who's gone absolutely, he's made a good job of that one. He's gone flying across the track. And Gary Clark now making his way back onto the circuit. We go on board with him now. But now we're going to go a little bit further up the field. This is Rodney Rayborn chasing down Liam Morley. Liam Morley has managed just to put a little bit of breathing space between himself and Rodney Rayborn. Let's check in with the battle for second here, Will. We're on board with Sam Fowler. Daniel Fletcher just ahead of us. And the gap, it's only ever so slightly coming down, but it is coming down to Alan Dove.
And you never know, maybe Alan is playing a smart game and looking after his tyres slightly. That was what Daniel Fowler did in the first race at Zandvoort, and that really paid dividends. So I think maybe Alan's realised that how many laps have we got left? 7 or 8 laps if he loses 2/10 a lap looking after his tyres. I think playing that long game really works. And there's Alan. Everything's smooth. And as you'll know, Chris, when you're in the lead, you can just drive your own race. You don't have to worry about anything. You can look after your tyres. As I say that, he misses the apex. That's an example of commentator's curse. That won't have done his front tyres any good. But it's a great position to be in where Alan is, and
Well,
now
here we
we're
go.
looking
Let's
at...
go back to... this is Liam
Go on,
Morley,
Chris.
isn't it? And that's a pretty good move there, Will, on Jack Bird. But I think Jack Bird, in fact, no, he doesn't. Jack Bird, giving him a little bit of a tap there. And Liam Morley almost lost it and big time, but just ahead of Jack Bird. Good move, that, Will.
Yeah, that was really good and quite brave, I think, being together around there. It's always... it looks like these, if you have a small touch, there's something in the physics that can send you off sometimes. So... lucky that no one came off here, but there's really exciting battle in the midfield. I think we've got from Jack Dex down to Rodney Rayborn is well, as I say that, it's 7 seconds, but from 7th to 10th we've got 2 or 3 seconds covering them, and you never know, you put a wheel on a curb wrong or you lock up and that's it, you're back with the pack. So yeah, really exciting here. Daniel Fletcher to Alan Dove is now only 2.3 seconds. So I think my theory on Alan looking after his tyres might be wrong. There we go. Go on, Chris.
Oh, there we go. Was that Tony Moore running wide? It was, and he's going to drop down a couple of places. So Daniel Fletcher, at the moment, he's in his favourite position of second. He has finished there every race so far this season. When I say that, there's only been 2 races. But he is starting to close in on Alan Dove. As we said, he's gone. He set a purple set. He set best lap of the race, but Sam Fowler's just behind. Oh no! Big contact, and there Sam Fowler has gone round and round, and Daniel Fletcher is going to have to try and recover. But big contact between the two of them. Gets going again here. I think this is Sam Fowler, in fact, that is third. So Daniel Fletcher has come off the worst of that. He was the car in the back of shot, and he's dropped down to a 6th place at least. There he is. So Daniel Fletcher came off worse there. Well, Will, it just seemed one of that. I think Daniel Fletcher had made a slight mistake or other way round, and it didn't seem like either of them had made intentional contact at all. It just looked like one of them caught out in the slowing speed of the other.
Yeah, I think that's it. Fletcher came back on the track and just had a bit of side contact. So I'd be interested to see what the clerk of the course thinks of that. Personally, I don't think there was any malicious intent. But of course, look at Alan Dove's lead now, 7 seconds over Glenn Guest. Glenn Guest, he's been at the front, then he's been down in the midfield after a spin or something happened, and now he's back in second, 3 seconds ahead of Fowler. So it's really paid off for him, this has. I think that Sam Fowler, I think that he's going to catch Glenn, because he's a quality driver, and hopefully that little spin hasn't overheated his tyres. But I think, yeah, we've not seen the end of Sam here.
That's a real shame for Daniel Fletcher, because he was ahead of Sam, which he needed to be to close that gap in the championship. But that isn't really going to help things. There is another race to go, of course, after this. Dean Hell, 14th in the championship, coming into this, so he really has found some pace between round 1 and now, and there he is in 4th place. Sam Fowler just ahead of us, so a good driver to try and latch on to the back of, and if Sam catches Glenn Guest, then give Dean Hell a chance of a shot of a podium here, Will.
Yeah, I think so, and you can just see on board from Dean how smooth his inputs are. You know, he doesn't upset the kart, he's looking after the tyres, so I think that real life experience that he's got is going to be very useful here. Look at Jack Dex. Okay, as I say that, he's just battling between 5th and 6th, but he's come from, what is it, 14th on the grid up to 5th or 6th, so really strong driving here. Jack Dex might not have the speed, but his racecraft has always been excellent. So I think all of this unfortunate event for Daniel Fletcher and a bit of a mix-up is going to make the second race even more exciting, what with the reverse grids. So yeah, look forward to that as well.
Yep. Oh, just running. Oh, we've got someone off ahead. We've got a kart off in the background as well. I don't know if that's a kart from earlier in the race, but we definitely had someone off just ahead of us there. I don't see anyone dropping down the order. Oh, but there we go. That's Dean Hell running wide, gets back onto the circuit, and he is going to drop down to, let's see, 6th place now, Dean Hell. So down from 4th place to 6th. So that promotes both Fletcher and Dex up a position there, Will.
This it just shows, doesn't it? You've just put a wheel on the grass. These drivers are driving so hard because it's such a quality field. You need to be right on the limit, and yet you put one wheel off, and that's it. You're off. And I think sometimes simulators can be more difficult to judge judge the limit because you don't have that feeling through your body. You're just relying on the visual and the audible feedback from the kart, and to a limited extent the feedback from the wheel. So yeah, it just shows that you're right on the limit. You put a wheel off, and that's it. You drop 3 places. So this I really love to know how many times each of these drivers are swapped. Now we've got Daniel Fletcher back up in 4th. Okay, 6 seconds from Sam Fowler, but I didn't think that he'd recover when he was down in 6th or 7th.
Yeah, he's doing a great job there, isn't he, to get back into play. Got that smoking car still in the background, but we are looking at Jack Dex, team owner these days, with his own kart team, Jack Dex Racing. Jack Dex did race some single-seaters as well, didn't he? I think it was Formula Renault he raced in the UK Championship at one stage when he had made his way up from karting. Very good in karting as well was Jack, one of the best in the country when I just started out in the road tax classes, and going along very well, trying to chase down Daniel Fletcher, and the gap is, well, it's only slightly coming down, but it is coming down nevertheless, and Jack Dex doing a very good job as we jump a little bit further forward to have a look at Daniel Fletcher, who is in 14th place. With all the incidents that we've had, Will, it's really split up the top 3, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I'm surprised. I'm surprised that Glenn hasn't managed to make a few more inroads on Alan, but it's yeah, they're about static, and I think 2nd is a good result for Glenn. But yeah, all of this chaos, and Jack's there in 5th. I've known Jack since 2003, and he's always been a brilliant racer, great to watch with racecraft, incredibly quick, and such a nice guy as well. So if anyone does want to do a bit of testing in karts, I really can't recommend Jack Dex enough. Yeah, good prices, an incredibly competitive team. So I'm really pleased to see him in this championship. He's always exciting to watch.
Right, let's go down. Here we go. We got Sam Fowler. We got Glenn Guest being chased down by Sam Fowler. The gap is now just under 1 second. So this is a battle that is about to kick off here between Glenn and Sam, trying to get back into 2nd place, and has been able to take his time with closing that gap down. It was around 3 or 4 seconds, wasn't it, when we first started to follow Sam. Will, I know you haven't driven these things in real life, but do you fancy trying to talk us around a lap on board with Sam?
Yeah, so I've driven this track in real life, but not in the kart. So you can see, I think Sam is really pushing there. The amount of lock he was using just to try and get that rear wheel up. So you can see here, up to 120, 130 miles an hour. Come across, give yourself as much room into this corner as you can by using the pit entrance. Now it's really vital to make a good exit down here, because even though it's not a straight, it's flat out in these, the Craner curves. So yeah, up to 140 miles an hour by the time you go round the old hairpin here. Yeah, really fast corner. It's just surprising how much speed you can take down here. So you have a flat out kink round to the left. Is this one the old hairpin? I get confused with corner names, but again, this is a really quick corner. Taken in 3rd gear at about 80 or 90 miles an hour. I love this corner over the brow. You really chuck it in round there at, I think I saw 60 miles an hour or 80 miles an hour on his Micron. Along this straight, you're just waiting really up to 6th gear. There's a bit of a crest here, so it makes braking quite difficult. Tons of curb from Sam, and keeping the wheel nice and straight and smooth. I noticed last time that Sam had a bit of a moment into this hairpin, so we'll see if that happens again. The rear does step out on him, there we go, and he had to correct, so he can't quite get the front in. Interesting, he moves over to the right a lot earlier than Glenn. Sometimes that can reduce your speed a bit. Sam is catching a lot on the brakes, and that is a brilliant line round there. He's now down to, what's that, just under half a second from Glenn. So who's your money on for this one, Chris?
Excellent, Will. Yeah, thank you for talking us around the lap. I'd say Sam is maybe taking his time a little bit with this move, and from uh, not just, of course, actually what he does in karting, but what he's done on sim racing recently. He is extremely quick, so I'm expecting him to get by here. And we are actually on to the last lap. So although Alan Dove has cleared off, we're not really going to be seeing much of him on this last lap. Oh yeah, that was risky there from Sam, wasn't it, Will?
Glenn has to defend now. Glenn has to move across the track and defend. Otherwise, that's it. It's Sam's corner. And there we go.
Sam down the inside. Yeah, Glenn didn't defend, as you said. And
yeah.
Well, likewise, I thought he would have closed the door. Down towards the chicane we go, and Glenn now the one looking to the outside, and he's gone too deep there, and that is second place for Sam. And Glenn's going to drop back there, Will.
He's in danger of Fletcher now. Yeah, Fletcher's in third. There we go. So that move has cost him big time. It could even be that Jack's coming by, and Jack's come. It'd be really interesting to see what has happened to Glenn, because he's now 21 seconds behind. Is he stuck in the gravel?
I'm not too sure. We'll go back to him in a sec.
But
yeah, he may have started in embarrassing fashion, but he now gets a win. Oh no, and Glenn is beached in the gravel. What a shame. Sam Fowler finishes second. Daniel Fletcher, impressive recovery, gets back to third place to get a podium. So 100% podium record for both him and Sam Fowler. Jack Dex finishes fourth. Liam Morley fifth. Jack Bird is sixth, and it's Chris Kemp. Rodney Rayborn, Glenn Guest down in ninth. I don't know what happened to Dean Hale. He dropped all the way down to 10th place. He was well up in the top five at one stage. This is Chris Kemp just coming out of the final corner. Rayborn in 8th place. Guest in 9th. Dean Hale in 10th place. And, Glenn Guest down in 9th. And all because it just seemed like he made a mistake there, Will, went in too late on the brakes and had nowhere else to go but the gravel. And I think from slowing down to try and make the corner, he'd almost gone too slow through the gravel.
Yeah, I think so. I think there was no chance that was going to happen on the outside, especially against a driver like Sam. I think where we went wrong was just defending, was not defending. Sam tried to go around the outside in that fast left-hander into the right, and that was never going to happen. So really, Glenn was in the money seats there, and he just didn't defend, which is I'm surprised of Glenn actually. And ultimately that's cost him quite a lot, because I don't know, did he qualify? Did he finish? Is he going to be second on the grid now, or because he DNF'd, will he be down right at the back? So yeah, really interesting race this will be. We're going to have Dean Hale on pole, is that right? And yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Alan, Sam and Daniel can catch Dean at this rate.
Well, it's a good point you make about Glenn Guest, because if he didn't cross the line, then yeah, anyone who DNF'd, and there was quite a few of them, they're going to make up the last few rows of the grid. You have to cross the line, which is a rule I'm actually a fan of. Definitely, you have to cross the line to be involved with the reverse grid. So we will get confirmation of the result up on screen for you in just a second. We're looking at how they got on a little bit earlier, so it's good to see there. We can see the pace that the guys were setting earlier. We've got the results coming up in just a sec. But Will, what did you make of that first race?
Oh, brilliant! It was so much fun to watch, so much fun to commentate on, and action all throughout the field. So many position changes. I think that this track really lends itself to top quality racing, and looking forward for the next few tracks on the calendar, I think we're going to have the same. Zandvoort was very bumpy and maybe not ideal for karts with no suspension, but this has been fantastic, and I am in some ways I'm surprised to see Alan winning, and in some ways I'm not, because when Alan has it together, he's kind of unbeatable. But then, yeah, as you said, he can do quite random things. So yeah, what did you think of it, Chris? Your first time watching this series?
Yeah, well, it was good stuff, you know, and I think one thing we saw is how easy it is to get it wrong in these things, and how harshly you get punished when you do get something wrong in these things. Will, I know you said you've got your sim back together, and if anyone out there is a sim racer and is looking for a team, we do have a team out there that is looking for some drivers. It is the Pulse team, Pulse Sim Sport. You can follow them on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And if you're experienced at sim racing on Assetto Corsa, iRacing, or rFactor, or all three of them, then you can get in contact with those guys. They are looking for some drivers. So what better time now than to go and get in touch with those guys? And I do just want to remind you guys, the next round is going to be a very exciting one, as well, as we're going off to Silverstone GP, where we're going to relive the SuperKart British Kart Grand Prix, and that's going to be on the 13th of June. But we do have another race coming up this evening before that. It's the reverse grid race for everyone who finished. The grid will be reversed of that, and we will get the grid to you as soon as we can. What we do know is Alan Dove is going to be starting right at the back of the grid, Will.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I believe we have an advert for. Here we go. So if you want to learn Alan's secrets to winning, then you can buy his brother's book. Terence Dove has come out with Learn How to Master the Art of Kart Driving, and yes, it does say kart driving, but I think this is applicable for simulators, for cars, and it really is a fantastic book. I've helped Teg to develop some of the stuff in this book, and yeah, it is wet driving, and it's got a lot of new things that you won't see anywhere else. That has really, I think, brought kart driving forwards, particularly in the wet. So yeah, if you want to pick one of these up, and I highly recommend it, go to Amazon, and you won't be disappointed.
Yep, I've got one so as well. Yeah, so definitely do go out there and get that, particularly if you're someone that isn't racing in a team either, or has never had any coaching. Then it is just a book away, and it's something you will always have. You won't have to keep going out there and bringing a driver coach or booking a driver coach. You can always just carry that book wherever you are going to. Do recommend getting that. So great stuff, and we can see kart tracks are starting to reopen again, which is good stuff. So good to see people are able to get back out there and testing slowly but surely. But whilst there is no racing in the meantime, we can enjoy this 5 rounds, this championship in total, this only round number 2. So it's not a time where we start to look towards the points just yet, Will, but in a shortish championship, I guess you could say, DNFs can really hurt you in this series.
Yeah, they really can, and I'm not sure how Alan set it up. As you know, Chris, championships that you and I have raced in, you have a drop score or two. I'm not sure if this championship would have drop scores, but when you look at the consistency that Sam Fowler and Daniel Fletcher have had, that's the sort of consistency that you need to win championships. So yeah, I think those two will be in the money seats. Yeah, second race, anything can happen, especially as you've seen with people flying off the road for small contact. But those two have really been class of the field.
Good stuff. For those of you watching the stream, hope you're enjoying it. Send your comments in, and we'll try and get some read out throughout the stream. Let us know who you're cheering for this evening. Have you been keeping an eye on the comments your end, Will?
No, I haven't. I'm just asking now. Apparently,
there we go.
Going
there
live
we go.
In 20 seconds.
Good stuff. We'll go and read some of those out after the next race. But the next race, well, we wouldn't have time to read some out just now yet, because we are about to go live for the second race. It's going to be a reverse grid of the first race. So drivers who finished at the front, i.e. Alan Dove, goes to the back of the grid. It might not be to the very back though, because our DNF drivers from race 1 are going to be starting at the back. So DNF in this championship really does make life difficult for you, because it doesn't just affect that first race, it affects the second one as well. So Will, this is going to be a race where we're going to be seeing a lot of drivers from the back trying to make a lot of positions early on.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're going to see drivers gaining 5 or 6 places. That's as you know from karting, Chris, that's what you do. If everyone's bunched up on the inside, you chuck it on the outside and hope. Of course, Sam and Daniel have a lot more to lose. I think Alan's going to come through the field well, as he did after he DNF'd last time. He came from last to third. So yeah, Chris, who's your money on for this race? I think this is more open than any of the previous ones.
Yeah, that's a hard one to answer. I think Glenn Guest and Dean Hell are two I'd be watching out for, considering where they were before they had incidents. So for me, they're going to be up there. Liam Morley maybe as well, but we will see. They're going off on their roll-up lap at the moment, and when they get back round, it will be a rolling start for this one. So there's the sky. So
beautiful British
forgot
blue
what the weather looks like. It's gonna be dry for this race, which is great to see. We're on rFactor 2, if you're wondering, as well, driving the gearbox karts, great little karts to drive, and that's the grid. There are the karts going round on it, and it's a reverse grid. As you said, I can see Jack Dex is still starting fairly high up as well. He's on row number 3 for this one. I believe Dean Hell's just behind him on the grid. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good race. Let's hope they can all get through on that first lap nice and safely. And I believe we've got Simon Crane and Chris Kemp on row number 1. Jack Bird, Liam Morley, Jack Dex, Daniel Fletcher, Sam Fowler, Alan Dove. So the top 8 are reversed for this. What are your predictions ahead of the race for this one, Will?
That's an interesting one, Chris, and yeah, put my reputation on the line here and say I think Jack Dex is in for a good chance. Glenn Guest, I think he's starting in a good place, but yeah, it's just who keeps it on the island, really. Actually, I think we're going to see Alan coming through well. I don't think he's going to be able to win this. Dean Hale, he was driving excellently in the last one, so yeah, I think if I had to put 2 drivers, I'd say Jack Dex and Dean Hale. Actually, Jack Dex's racecraft is going to be right up there within a lap or 2. I think he'll be second by the end of the lap. Wow, very
people getting caught out by the safety car, so definitely not slowing down enough for the start of this race. And oh well, someone's just gone for it from the second row. I think that was Daniel Fletcher had already got into the lead before they got in towards turn number 1, and through turn number 1 we go on board here with Tony Moore. We've got Dean Hell in the 31 just ahead of us there. Drivers side by side. Oh dear, there goes someone spinning
that's
round.
Liam Morley. Liam Morley's off.
Yep, good spot. So Liam Morley dropping down. I think that's Dean Hell trying to get down the inside of Old Hairpin, and does. So down the inside of Tony Moore, and Dean Hell gets himself up to 3rd. He's got Sam Fowler now ahead of him, and Daniel Fletcher is leading the way after putting himself on pole position just before the start-finish line. So Daniel Fletcher leads, Sam Fowler in 2nd, Dean Hell is 3rd, Tony Moore 4th, and it's Jack Dex, Jonathan Bell, Daniel Armel 7th, Stephen Calvert is in 8th, Simon Crane in 9th, Alan Dove is in 10th place. We're looking at him on screen just in the back of picture there. He's just trying to dive to the inside now is Alan Dove, and there he goes down the inside. That is a place for Alan Dove, who gets up into 9th. We're on board with him, Jack Dex. Yeah, I saw him slow in there to the right, so he must have gone straight on at the chicane, and he's now dropped down to 10th, Will.
Yeah, disaster for Jack. I don't know what's happened there. I'd be really interested to know, Chris, what are the rules with the start? Because that was absolute carnage. We had, and who's that podding someone off? Simon, was that podding? Yep. Yeah, but so is that legal? Like, is it okay to floor it and gain 5 places before the line? Yeah, we'll have to see what happens about that.
I think he'll have the police knocking at his door after this race. That is illegal in my words. But we had a
Yeah.
spinner in the background there. Now I think that was Simon Crane that I saw dropping down the order. Not too sure. But oh dear, we got a driver off ahead of us who's going to lose a couple of places there. That looks like Jonathan Bell, I think, who had dropped down a couple. We're looking at Alan Dove trying to dive down the inside here of Daniel Amor and goes through. So Daniel Amor in the yellow and black just dropping behind the driver now in the middle of picture in the all-white colours. That is Alan Dove. Behind that with the red strip in his kart, that is Calvert in 5th place. And then we've got in 6th place, sorry, then we've got Jonathan Bell behind that. But Alan Dove on this second lap, Will, absolutely flying up the order.
Yeah, I don't know what happened at the start. Maybe he got caught out, or maybe he was just playing it a bit safe after what happened last time at Zandvoort. But he's really recovered from that. Yeah, I'm surprised to not see him make any places, and now he's flying through the field. So Tony Moore is what, 2 seconds ahead of Alan. I haven't seen much of Tony Moore throughout this, so I don't know. I don't know. Is he quick? Is he consistent? Be really interesting to see what Tony can do now, because Alan is one of the stronger drivers on this field. Dean Hale's going really well. So, oh, who's that off? Was that Jonathan Bell running off there? I think
that was Daniel Amor, who had just run a little bit wide in the back of picture, and he's now going to be getting caught by Stephen Calvert, who is there in 6th place. Do we have Fletcher going down the order? He's decided to go down back into the pits, and he gets going again. Did he get a penalty for the jump start, do you reckon?
Great point, Chris. Yeah, I think the police of rFactor 2 have given him a small prison sentence, and that's it. He's down to 16th, so yeah, where will he be back up to? I think he'll make it into the top 10, especially with all these DNFs that we've seen at the last race. Yep, Glenn Guest, why is he down in 17th? 50 seconds behind. This is, there's too much action. Okay, and Alan Dove's got past Tony Moore. Great move there, I think capitalised on a small mistake from Tony. But yeah, can he catch the leaders? Go on, Chris.
And Tony's trying to wipe out Alan Dove and has failed in the process. So that was something you do on the PlayStation, isn't it? When someone overtakes you, you get annoyed with them. You just try and go straight over the curb and wipe them out. But it didn't quite work for Tony. And one thing I am seeing is it is very hard to control these karts coming out of the hairpins, Will.
I think they've just got so much power. Some of the drivers told me after last time that if you overheat the rear tyres, again, look, Tony's just really struggling with any grip. So if you overheat the tyres, they're just gone until they cool down. So I think after that little slide and failure at wiping Alan out, I think Tony's just completely cooked his tyres. There we go, more rear sliding. And Jack's off. Okay, that's cost him quite a lot of time.
Yeah, Jack Dex, he seemed quite nervous behind Tony Moore there from the body language of his character in the game there. It seemed that he didn't quite want to go down the inside. And there we go. Problem solved.
Finally,
Tony Moore's gone. And yeah,
now
there we go. Tony Moore's beached in the gravel.
Tony, but you were Tokyo drifting for the whole lap, Tony. That was bound to happen with your rear tyres. So sorry to laugh.
There we go. It's there we go. That's Max Tad going straight over the gravel and gets going again. It's the tyres, isn't it? They're so small, the tyres, that you just cannot get out of the gravel. You are literally buried in there once you go in. So this could be a good battle. Though Max Tad catching Jack Dex. Jonathan Bell isn't too far behind this either. Sam Fowler has just under 5 seconds over Alan Dove. Then it's Daniel Amor in 3rd, Calvert in 4th, Dex in 5th, Tad in 6th. Where's Fletcher? He is
12th.
Down in 12th, 41 seconds behind Sam Fowler. It must have been that he had a drive-through. He didn't serve it, so they picked him up and dropped him back into the pit lane. Oh, there we go. Max Tad getting a bit of a drift on at old hairpin.
Yeah, and like we said, that can't have done his rear tyres any good, so I hope he's careful over the next few corners. Max has been really impressive, actually. Like I said before, in the last race, in the last round, he came through like made 8 places in one lap, and yeah, he's a strong contender. Be really interesting to see now what Daniel Fletcher can do from 13th. He's dropped down a place. Jack Bird's ahead, but yeah, will Daniel Fletcher, who we're on board with now, will he manage to get into the top 10?
Well, there goes one.
Yeah, I think.
Oh wow, we got wiped out. Oh dear. That's that's when it gets really frustrating, when you're battling for outside of the top 10 and that happens. Oh dear.
Daniel Fletcher. Have you had it, Chris? And when you're racing in real life and you're in the 15th and everything's going wrong and you just want to pack up and go home. I'm sure Daniel Fletcher's feeling that way, but at least he doesn't have an awning to put down, and at least he probably is already home. So yeah, look at it positively on that way, Daniel.
He can it's not a controller to throw, but he can throw the steering wheel. I was going to say that, was that like a how much did you know about me racing? You're like, when you're down in 15th, Chris, where you always were, of course. It's like, oh dear.
From what I've experienced.
No, but yeah, no, I've had it plenty. I've had it plenty of times, but it's like you said. At least you don't have the awning to pack down afterwards. I think that's the best part about sim racing. You can just walk off and shout at someone. Maybe I don't know. But this is Jonathan Bell catching Max Tad, and that would be a brave lunge from there. No, it's just a differing line. But Jonathan Bell trying to line up a move on Max Ted. We'll check back in on this shortly because, and potentially third very soon. Will.
Excellent ride from Stephen Calvert. I love to know how he's managed to get up in third. I remember Stephen Calvert from TKM Racing back in 2004-5, and he was on the Motors TV Championship. So yeah, good to see Stephen still racing. But yeah, I think this is probably Jack's for the taking, and I'm. First podium for Jack, which is surprising after 4 rounds, if he can keep it on the road. Commentators curse, of course. I've probably cursed him now. So, yeah, back over to you, Chris.
Let's jump on board with him, shall we? And let's see if we can catch a move from Jack Dex going past Stephen Calvert. So here we come down towards Old Hairpin. We are into the second half of the race. We're almost going into the final third of the race. This is where the most mistakes have been made so far, but both of them getting through that with no issues at all. And Jack Dex in the slipstream getting a little bit closer now as they come back uphill. And Calvert, wouldn't say he could look in his mirrors, but he's going to see if he looks over to his right shoulder. There goes Jack Dex down the inside, and that is third place for Dex.
And no point defending there. I think there's 5 minutes to go. Steve, it looks like he's going to try on the outside. I don't think this will work. Don't do a Glenn Steve and lob it off. There we go. He's a bit more sensible this time. But yeah, really, if I was Stephen Calvert, he's fighting. But this is good. He's back in third. Okay, so looks like Jack's got his work cut out to take that podium. It's good to see Stephen defending so hard. Please don't cook your tyres, Stephen. Otherwise, that's it. Oh, still defending. Wow, this is a good fight.
They've got 5 seconds either side of them, so why not? It's even more than that. They've got 7 seconds ahead, 6 behind, so why not defend it as hard as you can to the flag? You could force Jack Dex into a mistake. He's going to go, what a lunge, and straight on, basically. yeah, straight on. It was impressive for a couple of seconds. But Jack Dex goes back down to 4th. Let's jump on board with him once again. Calvert doing well under pressure, I have to say. Usually we would have seen people make a mistake by now, but if there has been any mistakes, it's been Jack Dex trying moves too hard. He stays in 4th for the time being, but he's still got a while to go. Still 4 minutes remaining in this race. Will, you've probably had this situation before where you're in Jack's position. You've tried in a couple of places around circuit. Now you're starting to think in your head, do I try somewhere else?
Yeah, I think so. Back when I was a bit younger, I'd just chuck it in anywhere. There we go, like Jack's done. It's not going to work. Yeah.
that was
very
close.
Lucky that Jack didn't take Steve out. But yeah, Jack is faster. Jack has great racecraft. If I were Jack, I'd sit behind I'd sit behind for a few laps and then you know, do him in a place that he couldn't come back from. But Jack looks very keen to do some spectacular move, which is great for us, but not for Jack's podium chances, I don't think. So impressive drive from Stephen, like you say, Chris. Tons of pressure on him, especially from someone as seasoned and well respected as Jack. This is really impressive.
Yeah, Stephen Calvert doing very well to hold on to that third place. Now he's got a chance. He's got a gap just over a second. So this is where he's really got to try and put in personal best sectors and try and build on this gap as much as he can. Alan Dove, 9 seconds back from Sam Fowler. So it's not going to be back-to-back victories, but his start nowhere near as fast as the likes of Sam's, who was quickly battling for the leads within the first lap. But this has been a good round, this, for Alan Dove, considering he started with 1 point after the first race. He then got a third place after that. He's had a win to add to that now. So he's going to start a good run of podium finishes here. And unless he bins it, then it's going to be second place quite comfortably.
And just look, Chris, how smooth and controlled Sam Fowler is. No jerky movements, just loading it up gently, really kind to the tyres. This is another dominant drive by Sam. And brilliant for the championship. Daniel Fletcher is down in 10th. Sam Fowler's worst finishing position is 2nd. And he's had that once. So, yeah, Sam's going to be romping away into the lead of the championship. And yeah, here we go. Jack and Steve back together. I'll let you take over now, Chris.
Yeah, very close between these two. Calvert really pushing the limits coming out of turn number 1. Jack Dex just gets a little bit closer. They're very matched for pace, these two, aren't they? It's been back and forth in terms of gaps coming out, extending and decreasing again. Jack Dex has the slipstream now, so he's going to get a little bit closer here as they come back uphill. And I'd say when we get to the chicane here, Will, Jack Dex could be in a position to try and move.
I think so. We've got 50 seconds left, and as you've seen from Jack's do or die moves 5 or 6 minutes ago, if there's going to be a do or die move, it's definitely going to be on the last lap or two. So here we go. Jack's going to try it on the outside.
Yep, round the outside he goes, can't quite get through there. Yep, Calvert did give a little bit of space, you have to say. Very respectful racing, did give him room to go around the outside there, but Jack's going to have one more lap after this to try and make this move, and gets a little bit of oversteer there, Will, and that's lost him a little bit of time.
Yeah, I think hopefully he hasn't cooked his tyres, but there will be a mega lunge. Here we go.
Oh, wow, what a send that was! Oh, he can't take that place. That's out of order, that. Jack Dex has got to give him that place back.
I was going to say, Chris, that we're going to see a lunge here, whatever happens, however far away Jack is. And there we go. He's just potted him off. And, you know, if I was Stephen, I'd be looking in the mirrors, knowing that was coming, and then try the cutback, as he so excellently did. So I think knowing Alan's style of race director, I don't think that there'll be a problem with that.
Really?
I know that some people might. Yeah, I know that some people might think there is, but knowing Alan's style, I don't think there will be. It was a block pass, albeit a very ambitious one. What's your thoughts, Chris?
I don't know. I mean, he couldn't turn. Wheels were locked up. He was going straight on, and Stephen Calvert had nowhere to go. But the worst part is they're both in their own houses, so Stephen Calvert can't get out the car and go and have a go at him when they get back into the pits. But well, we're going to go back to Sam Fowler and Alan Dove. Both have driven fantastic races, and it's going to be a comfortable win here for Sam Fowler as he comes out of the last corner. Sam Fowler is going to take victory in the reverse grid race, and that is 3 out of 4 in terms of wins for the season. Alan Dove, in a little bit of style, comes out to take second place. He will just about make it across the line. And Jack Dex will finish in third place. There he comes out of the last corner, where a lap ago it all went off, and he rounds out the podium for now. So Stephen Calvert finishes in 4th. Then we have Amor Who is this? Yes, Fletcher and Rayborn having a little bit of a squabble with each other. There's still 2 corners left and still a chance for Fletcher to try and pull off a move here. This is where this is. Just dex him. Let's see if he's trying it. No, he's not going to do that. Rayborn's going to finish 8th, Fletcher in 9th. We had Sharky in 6th, Bell in 7th, Rayborn 8th. Fletcher 9th, then we had Bird in 10th, and I think that was the last of our finishers. Whoa, there we go. Impressive
Brilliant.
Stuff from Daniel Fletcher, who was once back in the pit lane.
So did you see what happened
there
to
he is,
Dean Hale, Chris? What
No.
happened to Dean Hale, Chris? He was doing brilliantly in 2nd and all of a sudden gone.
No, I didn't see what happened to him. I don't know. He was doing really well. It was the same in the first race. Dean Hale went missing. To say, a good race and a good little fight for 3rd at the end there. And it sounds like we're on either side of the fence. So I think that one will be looked into. But a racing incident in your eyes?
I think yes, I think so. Like Jack's very ambitious, and Stephen, he could have avoided it. And like I say, knowing Alan's style of race directing, I think he'll see that as okay. So we'll have to see, and we'll keep all the watchers updated. But I mean, excellent drive from Stephen to be up there and to hold off for that pressure for so long. Like Chris, when you're in front of someone and there's someone breathing down your neck, you can hear their engine, your tyres are overheating, you're on the defensive. It's really hard, isn't it?
It is indeed. And before we wrap up, Will, driver of the day for you?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Put you on the spot with this one. I didn't tell you that I was going to ask you this, so this is really being put on the spot.
I think Stephen.
I was going to say.
Go on, Chris.
No, I was going to say, if you want, you can have a quick think about it if you need to, and I'll just say one more thing. Just get this out there one more time. If you are looking to join a sim racing team, then we do have a team out there that is looking for some drivers. Pulse Sim Sport. If you get them on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, get in contact with them. If you're experienced on Aesthetic, also iRacing and rFactor 2, or either one of those, then get in touch with those guys. Will. Going to come back to you for this then, driver of the day for you.
Well, thanks for the time to think, Chris, because it is a tough one. I mean, Stephen Calvert's done excellently to be fighting in the top 4, but I think it's got to be Sam Fowler, because he's just made it look easy, hasn't he? It's tough between Alan and Sam, but Sam's just dominated again, really. What about you?
Oh, I don't know. That's why I left it to you, to be honest. So I'll just let you have yours. You know what? I'll go with Alan. Alan's driven really well.
That's great.
To him. And after what happened in the first race at round 1, he came back in good fashion there. But that is all from us for round number 2 for the Karting1 SuperKart Championship. We have a really exciting race coming up next time. We're going to be going to Silverstone GP next week. This time next week, 7:30 once again on June the 13th. We're going to relive this SuperKart British Kart Grand Prix. So relive an old classic, and hopefully it will be another classic race there, Will.
Yeah, it will be, and it's been brilliant to have you along, Chris. I'm sure the viewers have loved to have you. So hopefully you can join us for a few rounds in the future.
If you guys can afford it, then I'll come back and do another one.
We'll get saving.
I'm joking. DJ, I'm sure he'll be back for the next round and so on. So good to have him back, of course. But it's been great to be here. Thank you guys for having me along for this. And Will, you're looking forward to the next round? Yeah,
definitely. This has been a real classic, incredibly entertaining, and I hope that Silverstone has a similar. It's similar. It's not bumpy. It's quite fast. I think it's going to be a similarly exciting round. So tune in for the next round, everyone.
Yeah, well, on behalf of Alan, Alpha Live, and the rest of the team, thank you very much for watching. We're back next week for round number 3 of the Karting1 SuperKart Championship from Silverstone GP from 7:30 next Saturday. Until then, guys, all it's left to say is thank you for watching, and do take care.